Ahoy there! Welcome in this video where I will show you how to use version control in order to help you managing your projects with Godot, your Godot projects. So right away, you have a little sneak peek of the software I use for version controlling, and the software is GitKraken, right? So using it is not necessary to use version control. You can do it with the console, which I don't do. And there are other softwares, such as GitHub Desktop. If you want to use this one, go away. Go away. That's not what I meant. uh, go on. Whatever. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so in this video, I will show you how to use GitKraken to manage your version control. So here you have a little preview of the history of my project's Stardust project, which is my current YouTube series. So basically, what Kraken does is it allows you to commit everything, make branches, merge branches, all that kind of thing, and give you a visual history of everything that happens. And of course, there's a squid in the logo and stuff, so it's cool. So yeah, I will show you how to create a new Godot project and how to add the version control to it. I just want you to know that if you have a project already and you have worked on this project, it's okay. You just pick up on the moment where I will add GitKraken and the steps will be exactly the same. Okay, so let's go to Godot's project manager to create a new one. All right, so here, what you want to do is simply create a Godot project. I always have my projects in a Godot folder, and here I will create a Git demo project. Create a folder. I don't care, I just want the version control set to Git, right? If you didn't choose Git here, it's all right. We can work with it. So what you want to do is just create your Godot project. There's nothing more to do about it. Because basically Godot is creating everything necessary for the Git repository to be functioning. So now we are done with Godot at the moment, so we will jump back to GitKraken. On GitKraken, what you want to do is basically create a new tab, and it should look like this. All right. So what you want to do is create a repository right there. Here in the init category, you want to create a local only project repository. What you want is to initialize it in your folder where you have your Godot project. So here is this one. And you want to give the repository the exact same name as the Godot project so that the full path here matches perfectly. If you want to rename the main branch, that's when you do it. And you actually don't select a git ignore template. Even though there is a Godot one here, you don't want to pick it because it's outdated, and the one created by Godot when you created the project is better. So you want to select nothing and create the repository. You know it's all right if you have this initial commit, which will always be there, but if you do have the files from Godot here, if you have those files, then your repository is functioning, it's cool. What I like to do is to always make this a little bit more pretty, a little bit prettier. And I always save all those Godot files and have this initial Godot commit being committed. All right. From there, I can start to edit my project and add things. If you let's do our first commit, and I will show you what to do if you don't have the git ignore files because you didn't choose the option when you created the project. So I'm gonna go on Godot and just do a few things to create files, okay? Okay, so I have created a few things in Godot. So now Kraken is basically telling me there's a work in progress here, and you have 2 new files and you have edited 1 file. So when I click on this work in progress line, I have access to all the modifications which have been made since my last commit. From there, I can choose which one I want to stage, and staging a file means I will commit it when I submit the commit. So I want this one to be staged, and I want the new scene to be staged, but I don't know, for maybe any reason you don't want to keep these data objects. Happens. So what you're gonna do is create a new commit and say like doing stuff. Basically in your commit, you should be saying in a concise way what you're doing, what you did, so that when you look back on it, you're like, oh, okay, it's that moment. Then, when you're done, you simply commit. Now, there's still a difference, which is this data.gd thing. And maybe I can stage it now and have this little thing saying adding data script. All right. So as you can see, the commits are stacking up on top of each other, and they're quite really the history. That's why we named this version history. So at that point of time, data script didn't exist. So I can go back to that point where data script didn't exist. The reason for this is that sometimes you will break things. Sometimes you will corrupt files. And when this happens, you want to be able to go back in time and say, well, I want to go back to a moment when my project was working. Because fixing the absolute chaos and mayhem that happened, no, no. So you want to do this. And you can revert back by right-clicking any commit and say revert commit. Do you want to immediately commit the reverted changes? No. So here I went back in time and choose not to commit anything because I don't want to break what I did. Actually, it's a demo project, you know. Let's just do it. That I want to go back before the adding script thing. So what I want to do is to revert the commit and say yes. And here there's this revert thing which says, all right, we went back in time to this one. Or you can go even more hardcore and say, okay, I wipe it all and data script is gone. When you say this reset master to this commit with hard, discard all changes, which I just did, be very careful because you will destroy everything happening. Right now, data script is gone forever until I recreate it manually. So that's why you basically have version history, the first level. You want to be able to go back in time. The second level of version history thing is by creating branches. So you can create a branch by choosing this branch thing here. And I'm gonna name this cooking, because we will be cooking stuff for a while. We don't know if what we're doing is gonna be good for the game or if we will have to get rid of it all. The difference between creating a branch and not staging your file and keeping your file volatile is that a branch, you can work on a branch for several commits again and again and again and again, and decide if you want to merge it back into the first timeline or if you don't want to merge it back to the first timeline. You almost can think of branches as parallel version histories where things happen, but it's not on the main timeline yet. It can be, it could be, but maybe not. So I will go in Godot and do a few things again and come back here. So here I created 3 files because I actually want to create 3 commits. So first I'm gonna stage this one and make it as adding data file, data class. All right. Then I want to add this one, have another commit, which is adding item data. And a last one, which is going to be adding, well, adding character data. So here we have the actual things, the actual order of the commits. So master original timeline doesn't go further than this. So it stops here. But we have cooking, which is the most advanced timeline. So from now, we can choose to actually say, wait, cooking was a bad idea. It ended up all wrong. So I want to go back to the master timeline. I want to go back here and ignore all this and do something different. So again, I'm going to go in Godot, add things, and come back here. Now I actually did something different. I created again a data file, but it's a better one, right? Here I was cooking stuff, it turns bad, and now I know how to do it right, so I do it. So I do it right, stagify, and have this add better data class. So what happens is that this timeline stops here and the main timeline starts again. But what if you actually want to keep everything you've done in the branch? If the branch is successful, you want to merge it in the main branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this last commit I did, right? I remove it because I don't want it anymore, so I drop it. And now I want to merge the cooking branch into master branch, right? Do not pick rebase, pick merge. There we go. So now we have this little branch going back in the main one, and cooking and master are now both up to date here. Is how to host your project if you want to host it. GitHub is the best example. So what you want to do is link your GitHub account or whatever platform you're using And here on the remote, you want to choose the add remote option, and that's pretty much it. You choose a name for it, which is origin. So you may want to have several origins, but really it doesn't matter for the type of project we do. We just want to have this origin, description if you really need one, the repository name. That's what you want to see on GitHub. And you want to create a remote and push local references. So the thing is that on Git, if you do have an origin, like I do here, you will have to push your commits. So when you do something new, you see like there are two icons here. There's the laptop icon and my avatar icon, profile picture. They represent both, respectively, the local history and the GitHub history, right? So the sable here represents GitHub's, and the laptop represents local. So if they are both here, it just means that they are synced, right? Because basically every time I push something, what happens is it creates a new branch, sort of, which is a local one, which is more advanced than the one on GitHub. So what you have to do is to use the push to your internet. So you know what? Let's just have this, create this. Okay. All right. So we have a new origin here on GitHub. So now the repository right there, it's live on GitHub. So what I want to do is do something, I don't know. Right, so I just deleted a few files. So I want to stage the change here and say cleaning deprecated code. All right. So what happens here is that I now have two master branches. I have this one, which is the local one, and I have this one, which is the one hosted on GitHub. So what I want to do is get the local one, and I want to push. Where do you want to push it? On origin, master, yes. Now that it's linked, I don't have to specify this thing I just did every time, but yeah, now I just push and it pushes. So that's how you host your repository if you need to have the repository hosted on somewhere else than your PC. But yeah, keep in mind that this is public. I think you can create private repositories for free now, so that should not be a problem if that's your intention. You see, when you are changing branches, Godot tends to be a little bit hallucinating because it keeps track of things in the .godot folder, and when you switch branches, this folder doesn't update. So if there are a lot of differences between your branches, which is often the case, what you want to do is go in your Godot folder and you want to completely delete the .godot folder. You go in the project folder, delete the .godot folder, get rid of it, and then the next time you start Godot, it has to be regenerated, so it will do everything based on the current branch you are on. So it doesn't hallucinate anymore. All right. Now, if you have no git ignore files, I forgot about that. Let me fake having files. Here I created a new folder. So basically, if your git ignore files isn't created, In there, you will have a .godot folder showing with tons of changes all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. So what you want to do is right click on it and go with ignore all files in folder to ignore. So ignore all files in .godot. And when you do this, you want to ignore and stop tracking, and you will have this little git ignore update here. So you stage this and be like, update git ignore. So I don't have an update button here, but update git ignore, right? You commit it, and now whatever happens in the .godot folder, it's not Git's responsibility anymore. Kraken ignores it. And that's what you want. All right. Well, I guess we're done for this episode. It's been 26 minutes already, so I won't be going in the how to fork and make pull requests, because that's going to be a lot of time. So there will be another video on version control, which will be specialized on collaborative projects and open source projects. So yeah, anyway, I hope you like this episode, and I will see you in the next one about forks.